tomorrow recording session was failed. So
I'm checking actually. I'm trying to recover that. There was some internet issue on my side yesterday. I'm
yeah,
trying to recover those sessions if possible. Today I made sure that I am in a correct internet environment, so uh, it is going to definitely work for today's session. Hopefully, we don't know at the end, but
yeah,
I made
sure.
sure I have a correct internet today. For yesterday's also, I'm trying to recover those that recording. Let me see if I get any luck on that. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So let's go back to our agenda. Let's go back to our agenda and let's try to see what are the uh, what are the planned things we want to cover today. As I said, I expect a bit delay where we might slip off some time today. But again, as I said, it's in interest of getting our basics clear. So I would like to spend some time more on the basics, and we will catch up the speed when we try to go with the next days. All right. Okay. So quickly coming to the yesterday's session. Yesterday we learned about what is board, what is a board platform, uh, as it's a multi-dimensional database, what it consists of. So I will quickly take the revision as well. So board is a product which is a unified product for all the requirements like BI, analytics, CPM, predictive modeling, etc., etc. So everything can be managed in a single platform. Board is a server client architecture, has a server client architecture, which is also called as server oriented architecture, where we have a server side and a client side. The data is stored in board on a server side, and the data can be connected from different kind of a ERP or a legacy system or data warehouses or any relational databases, Excel, CSVs, text files, etc. All right. So the data can be connected to the data sources and data is stored in board. We discuss the data, the level of aggregation can be different based on the client. It depends totally at our requirement gathering session and with our client what level of granularity they want to have. As I said, you cannot replicate, or technically you can, but you shouldn't replicate the entire ERP as is in board, because it's nothing but a duplication of data itself, isn't it? I have given you an example of POS system where the ERP might record the data at point of sale, but board might not have that granularity of the data because let's say for a dashboarding kind of a purpose, it has to be at a higher level. So the database is the data from the data sources is stored in the board cubes. The data is stored in the as I said, because board is a multi-dimensional database, it is represented in a cube structure. We also discuss about having a virtual queues where the data is not actually present in board, but on a runtime we can connect to the data source and retrieve the data. So those are the virtual cubes. We will see them when we learn about cubes, etc. Whatever the data is stored, the entire data can be accessed through the web HTML5 portal. So through your normal browser like Chrome or Mozilla or Edge, you can have access uh, your web browser. Okay. Uh, Yesterday, I also mentioned we also have the Office add-in, which is going to be useful for us when we want to merge or have the interaction uh, with respect to the Excel, because face the reality, everyone is wants to have some report on the Excel, wants to work with Excel with more feasibility. So that is there. I told about the mobile tablet yesterday. We have the iOS application for board, which works smoothly. But because the new HTML web HTML5 technology, I think the more and more users are inclined toward a web-based or a, a browser-based interface itself. Just to tell you an example, I understand everyone uses social networking websites, let's say. So the interface of, let's say, Facebook on Google is different. So if I, let's say, open Facebook on Google on a web browser, it is different. The same web address or the same has a different interface when you try to open it on a mobile browser. Okay, a Chrome browser on the mobile. So uh, it has been achieved through the HTML5. So whatever dashboard you can create, you can open the same dashboard with the mobile browser, and it should be giving a similar or a dashboards or the reports on the mobile as well. Okay, so this is what a board platform looks like. Then we had gone through quickly through some board BI and CPM demo. Thanks to Alok, I got access from him, and we were able to give you a walkthrough on the demo to envision or to tell you what we are going to learn or what we are going to be learning within this training activity. So we learn about slicing and dicing of the data, table object, chart object, bar chart, pie chart, waterfall chart, a tree graph, different kind of charts and graphs and reportings and conditional formatting, everything we have seen. Okay, definitely we are going to learn them in these subsequent sessions. This was a BI side of a product. On a CPM side, we learn about a simple demo on a sales planning process where a budget admin initializes the process, the budget application, the salesperson inputs the budget, the data entry is logged, workflow is managed, reporting is done, etc., etc. Right? So we have seen all of those things because I want to paint a picture about what Hmm. learnings we are going to get through within those sessions. Okay, so that was the background. I will start with the board database engine. Okay, but before that, I definitely want to check with you. As you know, this is a hybrid approach, right? So we discuss about having going through uh, the uh, the PPT slides, what I am taking you through, or the examples, the real scenarios, what a particular consultant or a particular manager encounters, and I'm trying to relate it with your, let's say, if you, any one of you have a previous experience in other tools or would like to also uh, try to paint a picture on the real life cases or scenarios on board. So that's what we are doing, right? So I will take you through the examples and that will help you understand the concept more. Okay. But learning the concept uh, is something uh, has been designed in such a way that we are going to go through these presentations. And another expectation from you as an attendee is you would go through the training videos through the e-learning portal so that you will also understand and see where the things are, because as you remember in the training I have gone through the concepts, but I have not shown you exactly what icon, where to click, where to go. For example, if I ask you go to the data model, when you look into the video, you will immediately go into this board button, go to the data model, and you will see, okay, which data model? So November NW. So let's connect on that. So we will see everything. If you have not gone through the training, then I have to teach everyone and tell everyone that, okay, can you please click on the B button, then click on the data model, then move your mouse towards the now NW, then try to search cubes, entities, etc. Right? So because and we will lose time in those cases, right? So Now, a question for you first, and then we will look into the quick recap on the entities and relationships from yesterday. Sorry, entities only from yesterday. And then I have additional questions for you. A quick recap. So, raise your hand if you have completed all the videos given as a part of this agenda. Or in case some of you have not got the agenda, uh, raise your uh, raise your hand later. But let me see who has already completed all the videos as I have shown you yesterday. Raise your hand if you have done all the videos. Good. Okay, one person is there. Okay. Now, raise. Okay, Shakti, I have just 1 second. A quick note. Now raise your hand if you have completed at least 50% of the videos. You have spent some time on the e-learning. Mhm. All right, I see most half of you have gone through at least half of the 50% of the videos. Just making a note because then I will define my pace based on our what things you have covered. Okay. All right. Any one of you who have gone through, have not seen any video at all? Anyone there? At least have you started? Okay, so I see at least you have started, or maybe some of you uh, might not have started for just 1 second, sorry guys. Apologies, sorry. Yeah. So at least you have started Devra. If not, I would definitely recommend to start on the videos. Uh, See, as I told you, we need to get ourselves some time in this week so that we can cover most of our basic. All right, because once these basics are covered, because the examples what I am sharing with you, the type of exercises what I am going to take with you, it's something is not monitored or taken through e-learning, right? So let's take full advantage of this opportunity, and let's focus on our some certain amount of time in completing the e-learning as well as completing the exercises which I have given to you. Okay. So, okay, last question before going to that. Raise your hand if any one of you don't have the agenda for this training.
Aniket, can you repeat once? Your voice is so break.
Sorry, sorry. Uh, can you tell me if all of you have the training agenda with you? Because the training agenda includes what videos to be covered. So it is important for all of you to have the training agenda. So raise your hand if you don't have a training agenda with you. Okay. I will share. Don't worry, I will share the agenda. Okay, so ACG don't have the agenda, I guess. All right, guys. I will share the agenda with you immediately. Okay, I agree. Also don't have. I will share right away. Uh, can you give me 2 minutes? Let me share the agenda right away. All right, so that we shouldn't lose track on reply to all. Okay, I have shared the agenda with all the attendees now. You must have gotten it. Okay. Now, all right. So as I said, let's manage our time. The agenda already tells you how much time you're going to need from your side to be spent on the videos. It is also considered some of the buffer as well. So if you try to plan your calendar and block some time to go through these videos, I would totally recommend that, because that is going to also make these sessions very knowledgeable as well. Okay, because there are some cases, let me tell you, I have given the day third entirely just for you to go through all the videos. If you add sum up all the timings of these videos, it amounts to, let's say, 3 hours rounded. But I have proposed 6 hours, considering some of your attention is there, where you try to make or make the things on your own, make some trial and error on the slicing and dicing, etc. So you can actually go through the videos and try out the same things on the board itself. Okay, so considering that time as well, we have proposed this timelines for you. All right, so make sure and make use of this time to go through these videos, because it is going to be important, because as you know, we are going to be immediately put on the projects as well. So you will have very limited time to revisit, or even if you have, you will have some deadlines as well. So let's make use of this time to complete all these sessions. All right. Okay, perfect. Now let me quickly open the case study, and let me quickly take you back to the recap of our database modeling. So we talked about and we discussed about having this server-oriented architecture, where data is going to be saved on a server side and can be managed from a front-end side. Okay. Any typical board scenario or board project or any board application will always have a back end and front end and the security setups. Okay, so these are the main options or the main links available. So you can see that from the B button. So if you click on this B, we call it as board button. uh, so we have capsules, which is for front end. We have presentations, which is again for a front end. Data model is the backend, where we configure all our database, all the activities. Systems administration is the security setup. Cognitive place is the AI or a machine learning kind of an advanced feature, which is anyway currently out of scope definitely for the project, but I would recommend you to try it on your own after the training is done. Try to read some material on community.board.com or try to read some material on support.board.com. Okay, so you will have these websites for your disposal where you can go through all the where you can go through all the additional materials. Plus, anyway, whenever you want to learn about any of the topic which we discuss, but as you know, we might have some, we might would like to read about some things. That's why you were asking for PPT, and I'm going to check with my HR if we are able to share this with you. It has an impact. So in those cases, okay, what you can do is you can go to help.board.com. Okay, so this is the website which automatically will redirect you to the boardmanual.com. I'm going to paste it. The boardmanual.com. You will find all the related reading material on this website. All right. You just need to click on this new board online documentation site where you are going to read about data modeling. Of course, it is not yet live. Let me check. Apologies, I think the website is still under progress. Let's go back to the original website. All right. What you need to do is you just need to search here data model. All right. And you will be redirected to different topics based on the data model. All right. So these are the different topics. Let me just quickly show you on the release note. So you go to web, this link, I will share this link with you just a minute. And all those reading materials is provided over here. Okay. Everything related to the database entities what we have discussed yesterday. All right. Let me take a screenshot for you. You need to go to release notes, board 10.5 and web data model designer. You can also scan through the other topics as well. It will be available for you. Okay. Now you can find the reading material over here as well. Let's jump back to the board data model. Okay. So as I said, board consists of three parts. Capsules, which is the front end, which is capsule and presentation, which is front end. Data model is the back end where we do all the data related stuffs. System administration is the security setup. And cognitive space is a AI or a machine learning feature. Okay, it is also come under the presentation or the reporting part itself. Okay. Let's start uh, about what is the board data model and what are the important components of the data model. So any application starts with a data model which consists of a combination of entities, relationships, and queues. Which relationship is the hierarchy which we are going to learn today. It is a collection of and the data is stored at different levels and can be accessed from this database. Okay. The database is created and the first thing we need to understand with respect to the data model is understanding the time range, how we can define the time range. We discuss about two types of time ranges. The native board time ranges, which are day, month, week. Okay, let me quickly go to board and show it here. We go to time range. So we have some default time, native board time ranges, which is day, week, quarter, month, year, automatically coming. We need to define the from year and the to year. We discuss about what are the different radio buttons to define a week. If it is the first 4 days based on your 1st January, if the first 4 days are coming in that week, it is considered as week one, or it is the first full week, or the 1st January considered should be considered as the first week. Then we talk about fiscal year as well for countries like India, Australia, where the calendar year is different than the fiscal year. We can put it here. We can do a reference to the quarter, etc. Then we talked about having so these are all the native time entities, but additionally we have 4 time entities as well, which can be used to define the custom aggregation. As I told you, there is no half year entity. There was no half year entity earlier present in board, right? So then we created the half year entity to load the data, and then we would be able to show the data at a half year aggregation level, right? After creating the entity, we talk about how we can relate those entities with the existing model. So we discuss how we can drag and drop it on the existing entities and how those uh, data models can be managed. Okay. So these are the custom time entities and the native time entities. Okay. At any point of time, as I told you, we have second. Again, misplace the. Okay, I think I misplaced that. I will recover that. It is. Let me come back to the presentation. We talked about having the definitions on the time ranges. We discussed about we would keep only the necessary time ranges available for us because there is no point having the details at a day level if certain projects have the aggregation only wants to analyze aggregation only at a month level, correct? So that doesn't make any sense to have the database at a day level. You will understand how it is important for a performance point of view as well, and how it will be important to manage those relationships and the hierarchies as well. The time ranges are important because then we are going to use multiple time functions which board offers as a feature, where we compare the data with the previous year, we compare with the previous period, we will calculate the YTD, we will calculate the month-on-month comparison and aggregation and so on. So these are the important features available, and that's why the board time ranges are important. So when you go through the board videos, you will see how the modifications are done. I told it to you with one example where we wanted to modify this from year and to year, which can be possibly done, but we need to be careful that it might impact on your current values in the database. Okay, so make a star point and make a note of that whenever you do a time or whenever you do the time range changes, it has to be thoroughly studied and then planned and agreed with the customer. with all the cons, not cons in the sense that obviously, if you have moved ahead 5 years, you might not want to look into the data from 2013 or 2015. That has to be agreed and finalized with the customer, and then we need to carefully do that activity. Okay. Mm, okay. We discuss about what are the uh, base entities or a what are the included automatically included entities, which are month and year. Then we talk about default or the native board entities, which are uh, day, week, quarter, fiscal year, and then we also have a custom time entities, 1, 2, 3, 4, which we can use. I have given two examples here of a custom time entity. One is of a half year aggregation, and one is anybody remember? Okay, good point. That will definitely let me understand your attentions. Uh, can you tell me what is the second example I have given for the custom time entities? It was related to the retail industry. If any one of you remember, would any one of you try to answer? What could be another example of a custom time entity? Anyone? Any example other than that? Even if I had not explained yesterday, anyone who is already working on certain project can tell me an
Uh,
example of
time
custom time entities?
time 1, time 2, time 3 is a custom time entity like
Correct. Those are the
me.
custom time which we are using, but functionally, uh, what can make us use those time entity? I told you one example of half year, right? So half year
Yes,
aggregation is not readily available in board. So we use one of the custom time entities to aggregate the data at a half year level, correct?
yes.
Similarly, can you give me another example?
Upload data.
Okay. Can you try to elaborate more on what upload data you mean?
Um, mm, Recently, I'm using Italic.
Mhm.
I don't remember. मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा उसका.
Okay, never mind. One of the example I had told you, if you remember, is the retail calendar. Remember, I told you
Yes,
there are certain
yes.
calendars
Retail.
like 445, 443 calendars,
Yes,
which has been used
443.
by the
Yes,
retail industry, right? To
yes,
aggregate the data at their level. Okay. As we go ahead, we will subsequently learn how those can be done and how those are important. Okay. But yeah, these are some of the examples of custom time entities. So managing a custom time entity could be a tricky one. So it's always important to optimize and fully understand the functional requirement on the custom time entities from the customer. Uh, is it something they are going to use only for a reporting or a aggregation purpose, or is it something they are going to plan? We should also be aware that custom time entities might have certain limitations in terms of numbers, because you cannot have more than five or more than four custom time entities. Why it is also important? Because again, in the retail industry, they work on a seasonality calendar as well. So uh, every one of us go to the mall and know this, have a shopping experience. If you pay attention closely, okay, the the new launches, what these retailers do, are always with respect to the season. Okay, so if you might have gone in the last month, you might have seen the autumn winter launches uh, uh, in the stores, correct? Because again, sorry, I'm taking example of India or Middle East because I have been there in this period, so I have observed. So the launches or the launches happen for AW 21, which is autumn winter 21, correct? So they also do a seasonality planning for the sales as well. So whatever the sale they are going to do. So the end of season sale also there is something they are going to plan because it is the period when the sales are maximum and the margins are lower. So it's a good example. So if any one of you would have a chance to work on the retail industry, you will understand uh, the custom time entity, or for that matter it is important in any other project as well. But yeah, we have used the custom time entities at the fullest because they do the aggregation by season, by sub season, by retail week, because as I told you, for them the week could be different, and they do it by the 443 calendar as well. Okay, so there are n number of possibilities where the retail people might would like to slice and dice or aggregate the data. So that's why custom time becomes important. We discussed the difference between the native entities in board and the custom time entities. As we already as we know, how the functions can be available on them when we try to create reporting and some calculation on that. Okay, we talked about having the custom time entities, how we can create a parent, add them in our data model. Okay, create a parent of that. How, what is the importance of each of the time entities over here? Okay. One thing as an additional exercise for you, can you create one custom time entity called as half year, okay? Or one of you need to tell me from this case study what we are going to do, what custom time entity is required for this customer and how you are going to create that. Okay, so this is the question for you for tomorrow. I would like to expect some answers on that. Okay. Then we discuss about setting up and defining the entities. As I told you, any board application, as I said, starts with the pen and paper. You do all the brainstorming and all the designs using a pen and paper, and then you will see that transporting it or uh, into board, it's just a matter of clicks. Okay, so it will be a matter of clicks through which you are going to uh, uh, create those data model. Okay, so the 90% of the effort goes into the brainstorming and identifying the hierarchies and relationships and entities in board. Okay, once we identify the entities, we try to arrange them in a relationship and try to define the dimensions of the cube for that. We are going to learn that today. But how the entities depend and what is the entity? So entity is the homogeneous item on which data can be viewed and aggregated. So it can be a part of your entire tree hierarchy, or it can be a part of your dimension in the cube. So through which you can slice or dice the data. All right. And as it is said, the entities can be grouped logically, and that's why it is important, because you have to logically define the group name, because you can have all the entities related to the product hierarchy grouped together. Then you can have all the entities belonging to the customer grouped together, and so on. Okay, so that is how the groups are important. Then we discuss about defining the ideal code width and the description width. I have told you the pros and cons of the description width, okay? Because you cannot directly go and put randomly any number for the description, or for that matter, any number for code. We look into an example of a customer, right? a customer table where the customer code has a fixed length of 4. So the fixed length of 5. So the customer code width would be 5. Okay. At the same time, the description could be anything. Okay. So we saw the maximum length for the customer description as 36, and then we try to map it to randomly to not randomly, then we try to map it to a nearest rounded number which is at a higher level. So we have discussed to create it as a description width as 50. Okay. Then one of the important aspect, but it can be automatically handled in board 12, is the maximum item number. We discussed the pros and cons from the maximum item number. If you remember, we created an area, how the RAM is allocated for that area, how we are going to uh, spill the memory if the max item number is lower, or how we are going to uh, uh, I won't say waste, but how you are going to underuse the resources if you have a very max item number defined. Okay. So that's what we discussed yesterday in terms of code width, description width, and getting the entities defined. We also discussed how we can add the new member by clicking on add member, and we are going to learn how we can automatically add the members from the source data as well. Because imagine if you have 500 customers, no one would expect from you to input those 500 customers one by one. Okay. Now, so this is what we have learned yesterday. Now, uh, Wing, right? Sorry, how do you pronounce your name? I see you have raised your hand.
Alvin, huh?
Yes,
Yeah,
Alvin. Yeah,
yes.
Alvin. Please, sorry.
Hi. Sorry, this is my first session. I
Of
just
course.
want to get an idea that when we do this exercise, do we do it on version 12?
Yes. The expectation is yes, we are doing this training and we need to start it on the latest version, which is version 12. Okay.
All right.
Uh,
I mean, yeah. Okay.
and even if sorry, you were not there yesterday, so I specifically told the attendees as well. I know in board version 12 the max item number can be automatically handled by the board itself. Okay. But as a concept, you should know what that max item number stands for. All right. Plus, some of you or any one of you might be put on, let's say, some activity on a new module development or some support activity. Okay, let's say for a customer who uses board 10.8, correct? In that case, you should also know at least that concept, how that max item number could be defined, right? So that was the idea behind what I told these guys to create a Excel worksheet to uh, create a list of entities and what was the possible code width and description width. Okay, just on a lighter note, we are going to again connect when we start working on the projects, right? So there is going to be an opportunity where we are going to connect to understand the data model or something. All right. At that point, I will raise an alarm definitely if I see any code width which has been put it as like 100 or 250 or 500, etc. So things like this will be pointed out from me because it is not an optimum model, right? And that was the reason I decided to give you an exercise yesterday. So can any one of you take a lead and would like to share what was the entities uh, you have identified from the case study? what could be the probable code width of the entity, or what could be the description width of the entity? Okay. Can any one of you take a lead and would try to uh, share their screen, try to go uh, with the exercise I have given yesterday? And there is no wrong answer, by the way. So feel free to jump in and answer, because it's somewhat you might have your own thought process while defining the entity or entity code with code and description width or the max item number. I am here to direct your thought in a board way of working, right? So as to train yourself on the optimum model. Okay. So please, can anyone raise their hand and try to share the screen and discuss the list of entities? What could be the possible codes and the width description? Good. All right, Agrim, can you share your screen and we can discuss the entities, what you have created
Yes.
and how,
Yes.
what was your thought process?
Just a
Okay.
second.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Just a second.
Sure.
Okay. So do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So that we don't have an access to board platform, I made it here like very simple.
Yes. Yes.
And according to that, in my opinion, it's like, for example, this one is a huge number in max item number in order ID and ship ID. Yeah. So there were a row that contains about 2,000 and more rows. So it was for 3 years,
Perfect.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it just I guess in next 2 or 3 years it will be max item about 3,000. Is it right?
See, as I said, there is no correct or incorrect answer, but the thought process is absolutely right. You have already
Okay.
considered what is the total number of orders in the current time horizon and what could be some for the next 2 or 3 years of time horizon which you have assumed. Okay. From that point of
Yes.
view, it's a very correct approach. All right.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
yes.
So for example, in the category ID, here is a column that called description, but as a description width, I guess the category name will be better. It fits better. So because there's a lot of stuff
Exactly.
going on, so
Yes.
I took the category name and ranged the length of these words. So here is 14 is the maximum number of
Correct.
the description width, and the category is 8. This is the right logic, I guess.
You
Or
just
it's
miss one part. The
yes.
total number of members are 8. Okay. But the
Oh,
length,
okay.
if you see, it is only one digit, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, I see. So
Right?
here will be here like this.
But it cannot be 1. Why? Because you have put max item number as 15, okay? Which is again correctly put, right? Because currently
Oh,
they are dealing it only in 8 categories. Tomorrow they might increase their portfolio to, let's say, 14 categories or 12 categories,
yes.
right? So when we go beyond 10, your code width should become 2. So what should be the code width of the category ID is it should be 2. Okay.
Okay. Okay, I see.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. So
thank
you
you.
need to keep that in also mind in terms of what future data is going to come. Okay. So just to give one more example, let's say if you have max item number as 200 or 300 or more than 100, basically your code width should not be 1 or 2, right? Because
Yes.
after a point, after 9, the number of digits become 2. But if your max item number is in hundreds, so as a thumb rule, you can put the code width as 3, as I said. But again, it depends when you have a numerical codes, okay? You might have
Oh,
alphanumerical codes as well. So it totally depends on the codes, the data files what you have. But on this file, yes, your analysis is correct, and it's into a correct direction. So +1 point to you. What usually happens is whenever we have a classroom training, I used to share some stars who answers and the answers in a correct direction. So
okay.
because we are working on a virtual meeting, so I will give you a virtual star. So I make a note of that. And at the end of our training session, who has got higher number of stars, I don't know. It will be a surprise for for them. Okay. All right.
Okay,
So
great.
good.
Okay,
Good. So
thank you.
yes, your thought
Mhm.
process is in the correct direction. So order ID, ship ID, it's correctly process and put it out there. Also the category ID as well. Uh,
Mhm.
I can overlook your answers. I see few of the things in line, but what has catch my attention is the supplier ID, row number
Oh,
4, where you
I
have put
see.
code bit as 29. Yeah.
Um, yes. Let me find it. Mm, I don't remember where
The
was
second last
suppliers.
table, the suppliers is the second last table. Yeah.
Ah, I see. Thank you. So yes. Um,
So the code bit should be 2, not 29, right?
yes.
The same.
It
Yeah.
was. I was mistaken about the code
Yes.
width.
Correct. Correct.
So yeah,
Okay.
will be so. I see. Thank
Perfect.
you. Thank you.
Other things I think are in line. Mm, except I will ask, and it's a trick question, by the way. Row number 10 for country, you have code width as 9 and description as 11.
Yes.
What was your
Uh,
thought process for that?
okay. I see that code went in every single product or supplier category ID. I think I was mistaken about
Mm-hmm.
this table
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
this column. So the country were some. So
Column B.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, column B. So here I got the description
Correct.
length. Then there is a maximum of the
Mm-hmm.
description length
Mm-hmm.
and put it here.
Mm-hmm.
So here's 11 and
Mm-hmm.
this one is wrong. So
Exactly.
yeah, okay, I
Not
see.
wrong.
Here will
In a
be.
way, it is correct. I will tell you a reason. So, if
Mhm,
you go by standards, all right, uh,
mhm,
and if you can Google it, you will find it on Google. So, there are standard names of the countries for specific digits. Okay.
mhm, mhm.
If you want to go by 2 digits only or 2 characters, search it like a list of countries by 2 characters. So you will find all the countries with 2 characters. So UK is defined by UK, India is defined by IN, Kazakhstan
Oh,
is defined by
right.
KZ, right?
Yes, yes, two
Right.
symbols. Yeah.
Two symbols. Similarly, if you want to search for 3 characters, you can search that as well. So there is a international standards where the country names are also given in 3 characters. So for India, I know it is IND, USA it is USA, UAE it is UAE. All right.
Right.
For Saudi Arabia, it is KSA, which is Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Things like that. Okay. It depends
Okay.
on organization to organization how they use the country code conventions. Okay.
Mhm.
Now I
Okay.
have asked you a trick question here, because and it's a trick question in the case study itself. All right. If you
Mhm.
see in the entire data model, there is not a single column where you would see uh, there is not a single column where you would see uh, the country code. Okay. So
Mhm.
countries are given in the customers table. Can you please go to customers table? Correct. So you will find only one and that also matches, or that also is same for the city as well. There is no separate code conventions in this data for city or country. Okay.
Mhm.
But if you see, city names or country names are already unique, right? There
Yes.
is only one country with name Germany. There is only one country with name UK, Mexico, Switzerland, and so on. There is only one city named Berlin or London or Bern, whatever has been here. In that case, your code will be the city name itself and your description will be the same. So the code will be Berlin, description will also be Berlin. Country name will be
Oh.
Germany, the description will be also be in Germany, because the coding convention has not given over here. Okay. Otherwise,
Okay.
generally it is given with the customers because it is a very standard practice, right? Every organization uses that. So generally it is standardized, but in this case study, we deliberately put it as a country name and the city name. So as try to get this example uh, understand to everyone. Clear? Everybody understood? So you will find some cases where your code and description will be the same. So in this example, the city and the country, the codes and descriptions are the same. Okay. In order ID, the order ID and order descriptions will be the same, because generally order ID is a simple number or it's an alphanumeric thing. Okay. So those will be the same. All right. Most of the time, currency also I have seen it is codes and description are same, because they use standard 3 digits. Like for US dollar, they use USD. For euro, they use EUR. For Indian rupees, they use INR and so on. So generally, for some entities, if the code are not given, we can treat the description as the code of the entity itself. Okay. So can you
Okay.
make correction in your file and make
Yes.
the code width and description width for city and country as same? So for country, the code width and description width could be 2020, because let's say, I don't know, if they wanted to go for let's say a country with a longer name, right? So
Right.
code will automatically handle that in a way, but yeah, for this example, let's keep the codes and description width as 1515, because the maximum country width is 11, right? So keep it
So
as
here will
20.
be 15.
Yeah, 15. And C9, the next cell will also be 15.
But what about the if we choose the city 3 letters, like airport calls?
That absolutely
And I
works.
see.
Absolutely, Arnav, that works. But in this data, we don't have that. Okay. So what
Okay,
you
okay.
might need to do is, so, and these are the cases which we get on a real basis. Okay. In that case,
Mhm.
what I usually ask is, okay, why don't you provide me an additional column with the airport codes or with the city codes and the country codes? That will solve the problem. So I mail it to their IT team, who is in charge of data management and work closely with board. I discuss with them, and generally they provide me those table because it is a standard columns available. But maybe in some cases those are not available. Then we discuss with them. We put up pros and cons in terms of why the codes are important and how easy it can be managed. Worst to worst case, because it is a fact, because factual data, it is a factual data, right? It is not in 99.99% it would change. Okay. uh, you can discuss with the IT and get it standardized from the international coding standards. So I have also worked with certain, because of the time constraint, I have passed them that, okay, these are the countries, these are the codes. Please load it in your system and give us a link for the tables from there. Okay. So that might happen, but again, it depends on a customer to customer basis. Considering the criteria of only this project or only this case study, it is enough what we discuss in terms of code widths and description widths. We don't need to go and download as a standard codes from the internet. Okay, if someone want to do that, they're most welcome. But yeah, it's not a necessary thing to be done. Okay.
And also I was wondering this territory ID is here. Sorry, I think I deleted. But will it be the entity, right?
Yes.
So yes, I was just wondering. Here, employee ID. Employee ID is the description link. Yes. So these two are connected to each other. Is it right?
Mhm.
Because I was just wondering the territory ID. So what should be the description and what should be the code?
Good point. The code should be here, should be 5 because the length of the territory ID is 5.
Okay. So this will be 5.
Okay.
And what about the description and code? This one
Correct.
5, this one what?
The description, there should be some table where we must have seen the territory descriptions. If not, let's park this question. I will note it down and I will come back to you after the break. What should be the
Thank you.
description on the
Okay.
territory? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I think that's a good exercise, I suppose. Uh, some of you might also have tried to do that, and you might also have got a similar doubts, right? So that's what my idea or the agenda is, to take the exercise so that we clear everyone's, or we direct the thought process in a most optimized way. Correct? Because I know. In the beginning, just as rather than the code width, you have tried using the count of the members. Things like happen, but yeah, this is the platform where we are going to direct your thought process to get to a optimized application building. Okay. Any doubt in terms of this exercise anyone has faced? Other than what we have discussed, anything particular anyone has faced? Okay, I recommend to go and work on the training and the videos, and it is definitely useful to get our thought process in sync and in line. All right. After that, I think we can break for 12 minutes. Uh, let's have a tea or a coffee break, and let's connect in 12 minutes, and we will start with the next topic, which is the relationships. All right.
Yes, Aniket, please share Excel file with ACG team. So
Which Excel file, Shakti?
this like sharing something.
Uh,
Uh,
that was the exercise which you have to
yes,
create on your own.
yes,
The format should be the 3 columns, the possible entity name, the code width, the description width, and the max item number. Okay.
yes.
It's a simple Excel you can create. You can use your own format, and we can try to discuss later on that. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So let's take a break and let's connect at in 10 minutes exact. Okay. Hello everyone, welcome back. We'll wait for 1 more minute to join. All right. Okay. Now, as I said, once the 90% of work is on getting our uh, hierarchies and entities in place, and the queue obviously and the backend queue structure is placed, and then it's matter of place to create it board. Okay. After so as I said, the basic elements in the backend of your board uh, data model uh, is entities, relationships, cubes, data readers, and time range. Okay, we already learned about time range. We learned about entities yesterday. Today we are going to learn about relationships, and tomorrow we will go and learn about cubes and the data readers. Okay, this together completes the database backend. All right, and this is in a way defines your application architecture, and on the basis of which you can create any complex kind of a structure or application in the board based on certain terminologies and rules what we are discussing. Okay, just give me 1 minute. So after learning about the entities, let's learn about the hierarchies and the relationship definition in board. How we want to set up the hierarchy structure, how we do the analysis on those hierarchy and so on. Okay. As if you recall this slide, I told you the first job or the first thing starts with is noting down and creating the exhaustive list and exhaustive summary for all the possible entities we have in our application. Okay. It might be useful, it might not be. That is something we can decide and discuss towards the end of finalizing those hierarchy. But as a part of our brainstorming, as a part of our discussion, it has to be exhaustively listed and discussed with the customer. Once we create the exhaustive list of all the entities, okay, uh, we need to create a hierarchy or a relationship with them. Okay, there are certain rules which we are going to learn today. Through which we are going to arrange these entities into the hierarchies or the relationships. Okay, so what do we mean by hierarchies and relationships? Okay, in board, the hierarchy and relationship is defined between the two entities, which defines the aggregation. Okay, what do I mean by that? For example, all right, let's take the example here. Let's take a small example. In this example, we see that city is arranged with country, is arranged with continent in a hierarchy. So city is at the lowest level in this example. Country is at one level up. We call it as a parent level, and continent is another level up, which is a grandparent or it is a parent of country. Okay. How we define the country? How it defines the aggregation? Okay. If I told you, let's say I have one country, let's say India, and it has three cities, Mumbai, Delhi, and let's say Bangalore. Okay. If the sale, let's say in Mumbai is 100 million, sale in Delhi is 150 million, and sale in Bangalore is 20 million. Okay. And let's say within India, I have operations in only these three cities. So what is the total sales in India? 100, 150, 20. What is the total sales in India? Anybody answer?
270.
Correct, because it's a aggregation of the sales at a individual city level, correct? Because we know that this cities belongs to this one country, India. Similarly, uh, multiple countries belongs to one continent, let's say, which is Asia. Except few exceptions there, but yeah, in a general basis, yes, it belongs to those continents. All right. So what is the relationship or what is the hierarchy? So in board, the relation is defined between the two entities. So you can take any two entities and you can try to define the relationship between them. All right. But the relationship has to be always hierarchical or a parent-child relationship. Okay. It is same mention here. So relation should be hierarchical, and it means we will come to this definition. The connection is often told as parent-child relationship. Okay. So we can take any two entities and we can try to create this type of hierarchy or this type of relationship between them. Okay. So there are two golden questions, or the two criterias which those two entities needs to be followed. If both the criteria are satisfied, we can say that those two entities are in relationship. Okay. So let's consider example of city and country. All right. So we have one city and this is country. So the one entity which is the childmost entity, or if we are taking example of a city and country, and logically we know that city could be the child and country could be the parent. Okay, but how to support this hypothesis? The first question is, one child member of the city should have only one country mapped to it. Okay, so one uh, 1 second, let me bring my stylus, just give me a minute. It will be back in a couple of minutes. So let's continue. So the first rule is, one member of a child entity should belong to only one parent member of a parent entity. So in our example, city Mumbai is always mapped to country India. Okay. Or city Delhi always mapped to country India. Okay. So in the previous example, we see that the name of the entity is city, but city can have multiple members. So all the members within city or country are called as members, right? So we might have 5 countries, 20 cities, 800 products, 900 customers, and so on. Okay. Each of the member in that entity is called as a member. So one member of a child entity should belong to only one member of a parent entity. Okay, so this is the first rule. What is the second rule? Second rule is the reverse. One member of a parent entity can have multiple children. Okay, so one city, Mumbai, belongs to India, but one country, India, have multiple cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, and so on. Clear? Any doubt with this example? I will explain once again if you have any doubts here.
Clear.
Okay, good. This is important because based on this rule, okay, this is the standard rule. Based on this rule, you can define relationship between any of the two entities. Okay. Now I'm going to ask a question. Any one of you raise the hand and try to answer the question. Okay. Let's say I have one entity. What should I call? Let's say I will take example of our case study itself. Okay. So what this company is doing? This company uh, is a sales company which sells the products varying in different categories to all the different customers. Okay. So there is one entity which is called as product. And there is another entity which is called as category, or I would call it as just as a product category. Okay. Now, can anybody try to tell me what is the parent and what is the child?
Product category is a parent, maybe, yeah. And product is a child.
Correct. Good. Oh, sorry. I didn't see your hand. Sorry. Sorry, Graham. Sorry, Shakti. No more stars to anyone, okay, for these questions. Anyways, correct, Arnar. So, product is the child, product category is the parent, okay. What questions we ask? We ask, first question is, does one product belong to only one category? Let's say yes, one product belong to only one category. What is the second question we ask? Does one category have multiple products or n products? Okay. So this is the question I ask, and from the definition, I can see uh, it could be a possibility. But I want to validate this. Can anybody tell me from where I can validate this? I will give you a hint. Let me share my screen back again. I will give you a hint. Is it a place I can validate the what hypothesis I have made here? Product is a child of a product category, or product category is a parent of a product. How can I prove my hypothesis? Okay. Now I want full attention from all of you for the next 10 minutes. This is the most important and most critical place. If you ask me what is the most important and critical action in board, this is the most important and critical. I'm not saying it is most complex one. Most complex one will come later, but this is the most important and critical actions, because everything, whatever you are going to build, is going to be built on the basis of this analysis what you are going to do. Okay. Sometimes what happens is, whenever you go to the customer, for example, Agrin or Arner in your case, okay, when you go to the customer uh, on the application which you are working, they already tell you that, okay, they already have an organization structure, all right, where they have one segment belongs to one country, one company belongs to one country. So a segment, company, and country automatically becomes the hierarchy. All right. But what happens is, they might have certain uh, 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 companies which might be opened in a shell, as a shell companies at different location, but those are important for the consolidation, right? To consider create your final consolidation result. So how will you validate that? All right. So the validation comes from the data. All right. Even if the product says that it has the category as a parent, let's try to prove the hypothesis. So I will open this product table. All right. the best way to define the hypothesis is to take a pivot of this table. If you can't take a pivot, or I recommend you learn at least to understand and get a pivot of the table. So I will do pivot table. Okay. All right. First, let me show you from the data. So I will add a filter on the sheet. I select one product. Okay. Let me see one product one. Does it belong to only one category? Yes. So one belongs to category one. Okay. Let's try to understand a less confusing example. My product 4, which is Chef Anton's Cajun seasoning, belongs to one category, which is category number 2. Okay. But does my category number 2 has multiple products? Yes. So my category 2 also has multiple products like anise seed syrup, jumbo mix, Northwood cranberry sauces, veggie spreads, etc. Louisiana hot spice okra, etc. So one product belong to one category, but one category have multiple products. And hence we can say that the relationship is valid. So I double check it. Yes, the product and product category are in a relationship. This is a sampling what I am doing. But how you can finalize your hierarchy is the pivot table. Okay. Note this point, make a note, make a star in your notes, what you have to do. Okay. And tell me if you want, I will repeat it once again as well, but I want your complete focus for this next 8 to 10 minutes. So what we are going to do is we create a pivot table. What two entities we want to define? I want to define the relationship between product and category. Okay. The pivot table looks like this, but I need to go to pivot table option, go to display. Let's change it to the classic pivot table. And I don't want totals. Okay. Now you see that one product has only one category. Okay. So if I click here and I press control down, I don't see any vacant place. Everything is defined there, isn't it? So one product has only one category, and let's check a vice versa. One category have multiple products, and hence, and it is true for all the scenarios. Okay, it is true for all the scenarios, and hence we can say that product is a child and or product category is a parent of product. With everyone, do you want me to repeat this once again?
Yes, please repeat once.
Okay. So you can define your hypothesis based on the definition of, or based on the case study, or based on the discussions with the customer. Okay. But your hypothesis should always be always. Okay. I'm mentioning 3 times always. It has to be always validated by your data. Okay. So to validate the relationships, we need to look into the data. And how we can look into the data? We need to see if the hypothesis made by me that product is a child and product category is a parent of a product, because one product belong to only one category and one category have multiple products. Okay, this is the one which I have made from the case study. Or similarly, you can make this hypothesis based on what customer is saying in the requirement gathering session. Okay, but when they provide the data, okay, the reality is different. I will tell you one example. Okay, so the validation is always done with the data. So I go to the data, I validate the data, and I see, does my one product 3 belongs to only one product category? Yes, product 3 belongs to only one category, which is category number 2. And does my one category have multiple products? Yes, one category 2 has multiple products. So it has how many products? 12 products. So yes, we can say that product category is a parent of product. But this is just a sampling of the data. This is where you are going to just see one or two samples. Imagine in a case of scenario where, again, sorry to give again example of a retail industry. If you see in the retail industry, each product is the SKU which you find in the mall or in the store. So we have worked with the clients where they have 2 million SKUs or they have 50,000 styles, they have 20,000 colors. Okay. In that case, how can you define through the sampling? How you can define the relationship between the by using the sampling? In that case, you have to use a pivot table and then bring those two entities in a pivot table and finalize the relationship. So it should finalize like this, where one child should have only one parent and one parent can have multiple children. Okay. Now, sometimes what happens, and this is a real scenario, let me explain. By mistake, okay, or through some error, the same product might show in different category. Okay. So in this case, what it shows is, it shows one product has two categories, product 1 and 5, but all the other products don't follow this. All the other products should, not should, all the products have only one category. In that case, I connect with the customer, I connect with the data owner, and I ask the question, boss, what is happening? You said product category is a parent of a product, but I see one product which is product Darjeeling chai. It belongs to two categories. What is the reason for that? Okay. Maybe the answer will be, oh, sorry, this is a data error. This is not a product 1. This is product 11. No, sorry, product 100. And by mistake, they have put 1. That can be one argument. Another argument is, oh, no, this line shouldn't be there. It should not be replicated. So we remove the line. Or even if, or one thing could be that one product is discontinued and it is now the next product. Now it is not called as Darjeeling chai, but it is called as Darjeeling tea, for that matter. Okay. This is the reason the data, because data is not always good, we might find this example. So as a part of our validation, as a part of a definition, we need to ask these questions to our customer in terms of why the data is showing. You are saying some other things, but the data shows something differently. What is the reason for that? Okay. And that's why the validation and the definition of the entities are important. So how you can define the relationship between the entities? You can define the relationship between the entities from the definition of the business. So either your customer will say that, okay, this is the hierarchy and this is going to be a flat, this is going to be the final hierarchy. But then it has to be provided with the data, and that data also shows that, okay, one branch belongs to one customer and one customer belongs to only one city. Okay. And that is our job to quickly validate that once, so that we can ask the right questions during our sessions. Okay. Clear with this? Next question. No, sorry, next slide. So we defined the relationship between two entities with this definition. We already discussed this aggregation method, right? So we have 6 counties, Essex, Kent, Surrey, Lancashire, Cumbria, Cheshire. Okay. The relationship is defined as city, region, and country. So these 3 counties belongs to southeast region. The other 3 belongs to the northwest, and both of those region belongs to UK. Essex is belongs to southeast, and southeast belongs to UK. That means Essex also belongs to UK. Okay. So let's say if I had something like this, I will let's say Ireland. Okay, I don't want to go into a factual geographical question, but just for the sake of example. Okay, Kent belongs to Southeast and Southeast belongs to UK. That's why Kent belongs to UK. Lancashire belongs to Northwest and Northeast belongs to, let's say, Northern Ireland. I don't want to, let's say, Northern Ireland. And hence, Lancashire also belongs to Northern Ireland. Got it? In that case, Lancashire cannot belong to UK because the relationship is built from Northwest to uh, the Northern Ireland. Okay. Now, if I break this and I map it to UK, now, can anybody tell me Lancashire belongs to Northwest, Northwest belongs to UK. So where does, in which country Lancashire belongs? Does it belong to UK or does it belong to Northern Ireland?
UK.
Correct? Because if A is related to B, B is related to C, then A is related to C. It's a simple definition, right? And that's how the hierarchies are developed. So that's why you can create n number of levels in your hierarchy. Okay. So there are two types of hierarchies. One is called as flat hierarchy. Another one is called as layered hierarchy or ragged hierarchy. Okay. Let me give you two examples. So I have something like this. This is child. This is parent. This is another parent. This is another parent. This is another parent. Okay. So let's say this is called as customer. This is city, country, state, or channel. Okay. So this is my option one. On the left hand side, on the right hand side, I have option two. Okay. Now tell me which one is the correct hierarchy and why the second hierarchy is incorrect. Okay. So technically, both of these hierarchies are correct. Okay. So one customer belongs to one city, one customer belongs to one country, belongs to state, one channel. The same can be established from here. One country customer belongs to one city, one customer belongs to one state, one customer belongs to one country. But it is a layered hierarchy, all right? Board is a powerful methodology, aggregation methodology through which the data, if the data is present at the childmost level, the data will be automatically aggregated at a higher level. Okay. And there are both pros and cons of this hierarchy. But the most favored one and the most elegant and performance optimized is the layered hierarchy or a ragged hierarchy, where you have this is the leaf level entity, this is a parent, grandparent, great grandparent, or customer's parent is city, city's parent is state, state's parent is country. Okay. So a recommended hierarchy is a layered hierarchy or a ragged hierarchy. All right. How to configure creation of this hierarchy? I would keep it for you to look into the videos and get them created in board. Okay. I will quickly show you because I don't want to keep it hanging. So let me create quickly 4 entities. So I create customer, city, country, state, channel. Now I go to this entities tab from here. I say, okay, let's try to create the first hierarchy, what we discussed, the flat hierarchy. City belongs to customer, country belongs to customer, state belongs to customer, channel belongs to customer, save changes. When I click on this, I see the flat hierarchy over here. Okay. Now I want to create a ragged hierarchy. So what I will do is city belongs to state and country belongs to state. Sorry, state belongs to country. So you see that customer, city, state, country, and channel. Make sense? This is what we learn how we can define those relationships. Any questions so far?
Yes. In
Yeah.
mapping in relationship, like customer, channels, and like state regions. So we click on customer and mapping code and description like customer and channel both. Like one customer is like click on customer once. On not this, not it.
Not here. Customer,
Yes. Oh, okay. I
analyze.
think yes. And now customer and like code and channels in right side. So
Correct.
how we manage?
Correct. So that is the next step. Yes, yes, those are the next slides which you are going to cover. But till point it is clear, right? How we are going to create the relationship. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Any other questions? So we'll connect. We will extend it for the next 15 minutes. We'll see how these relationships are now managed. Okay. So we have created a relationship. Let's input some of the members in all of these entities. So I have city. So because city and country, I want to put the same customer, I have added that. Okay. Similarly, I want to add for the country as well. Control C, Control V. Added. Okay, there is no state in this example, so we will remove the state from here. There is no channel example as of now, so let's remove. So in our example, in our NW example, we don't have states or channel as a part of a customer. Okay, so I don't need these entities. What should I do? Shall I select this and shall I delete this? Shall I clear this? What should I do? Okay. One of the important factor, what happens when you create the entity, board creates a unique identifier for that entity in the backend. Now what happens if we delete this entity? It obviously shows you a warning. There are higher chances of your data getting corrupted. Okay. So make a note in your diary for this one. Make this point as a star mark. Okay. Whenever you have by mistake created any entity and you are not going to no longer going to use it, click on that entity, mark something like XX or mark something like reuse and remove the name of that entity and create a group called as reuse or revisit entities, which you are going to revisit at a later point of time when you want to create a new entity. Okay, don't delete, again I am repeating, don't delete any of the entity. Okay, because it leads to the data corruption. So I didn't need state, I don't need channel. So what I will do is I will call it as XX and I will try to rename it again as reuse. And I will move it to the common group called as reuse. When I try to save it, you see that it says that you already have the entity with that name. So give it an additional name, reuse 2. Earlier one was reuse 1. Okay. Clear? Again, I am mentioning don't delete any of the entity. All right. Mark them as reuse and keep it there in a separate group. We are going to reuse it later in our project. Okay. Similarly,
Yes,
yeah.
I have a one doubt. When I delete entity, is permanently or temporary?
It is a permanent deletion, but again, as I said, because it's a corruption, because it might result in the corruption of the data. Okay. It will be a very dynamic behavior happens on a database side because you lose that link for the unique identity and hence
Yes.
the delete entity should not be there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
But
yeah.
is it possible to recover a deleted object just in case?
So technically, no, we can identify the deleted objects, but because just one second, team, just a second. Sorry. So there is no chance of recovering your deleted entity than restoring your older backup. Okay. So it becomes very critical activity whenever you are going to do that. So hence the advice is not to delete any of the entity which has been created, and it applies for everything. So when we go to the cubes, it applies for cubes as well. So whenever you are going to create a cube, if you are not going to use it, move it into another group. We will look into it later, at a later point of time, but don't delete the cubes. Same happens with the data reader. Don't delete the data reader. Okay, whenever you create those, we will see that once we go to the cubes and data reader, but let's follow this as a standard practice. If you create by mistake something, mark it as XX, and let's try to reuse it at a later point of time. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now we have learned how we can create a relationship between the entities, but creating the relationship doesn't matter, is not enough. Technically, not doesn't matter, is not enough. Why? Because I say that, okay, customer belongs to city, city belongs to country. Now I don't need it, so I will just remove it. I will just remove reuse, country belongs to city. Okay. So when I go to the customer, I want to see which customer belongs to which city. So you will find in this data that, okay, there is no city information mapped as of now. So that mapping has to be created. Now, once you say that city belongs, customer belongs to city, then you need to map each customers belong to each of the cities. So ALFK2, ALFK2. I don't know why they are sorted. Let me just quickly sort it. ALFK2 belongs to which city? Berlin. So I will say ALFK2 belongs to Berlin. ALFKI belongs to Berlin. ANAT1 belongs to London. The next one belongs to Mexico DF. Now, if I ask you map all these customers to the relevant city, and I have, how many customers I have? I have 100 customers, let's say. Are you going to do this activity 100 times by clicking it? Of
No.
course not. It is not expected to do this mapping one by one. We are going to learn that in the data reader concept, how we can read this relationship from a Excel file or from a database. So it shows that AFK2 belongs to Berlin. So once we read this file automatically, the board will automatically read the data at this level. Okay. I will quickly show you with one example with the data reader.
I have one doubt. Is this
Yeah.
possible one time, one customer, sorry, one customer and two cities?
If one, see, that is the definition, right? If one customer belongs to two city, and if it is true for only an exceptional case, we need to discuss that with the customer, that why this has happened. Similarly, one city cannot be in multiple states or multiple countries. It's simple like that. One customer, the registered of it will always be in one city only. So
Okay.
if you see any company, okay, they
Means
have a single registered office, which is a customer's office. they might have subsidiaries or might have multiple offices at different locations, but the parent or the registered office is in the one city only. Okay.
Okay, means one time, one city. One
Yes.
customer, one city. Yeah.
Always. Okay. So let me just quickly show you how we can do this. So I do quickly customers. We will learn how what I am doing, but currently for the sake of showing you as an example, I am doing here city. City. Okay, city name, city. As I said, country name and country description, city name and city descriptions are same. Let me browse the data. I can see the data over here. Click on OK. I missed one fundamental thing. Connect to the data source. You need to do that. Okay. If you would have done that for 103 customers, it would have taken hours to complete that manually. But now, if I see that, because I have done one click and I have set up the data reader, you see all my customers are mapped to the relevant cities. And all my cities are mapped to the relevant countries on a single click of a button within 2 seconds. Okay. And that's how managing these relationships are important. Okay. Now, how I can see the relationships are managed or not. Okay. In the relationships tab, you will see this analyze button. It will tell you that if you have some customers which are not mapped to any of the city, it will be shown over here. Or if you have any city which is not mapped to any countries, it will be shown over here like this list called as missing parent. Okay. Again, here there is a button called as fixed relationship, which make a note on their point. Don't ever use this fixed relationship because it is something which has been created for a quick turnaround on a proof of concept. For a quick turnaround on creating uh, a child level entity to balance the hierarchy, but it doesn't match with the customer's master data. So don't try to use it with caution. It is mostly used with the POCs, but not used in the actual projects. Okay. There are different methods through which you can analyze the relationships. One is called as to show which customer belong to which country, or you can go which country has how many customers. You can see it from here. Okay, and you can change those mappings as well. Go through the e-learning videos, okay, and you will find this analyze buttons explained over there. Okay. The last topic in today's discussion is the normalization. Okay. I already explained to you what normalization is. All right. Sorry, I didn't tell it is normalization, but I already explained. What normalization stands for is it is break the relationship, save changes. Okay. When I say customer is related to city and city is related to the country, all right, that immediately says that the customer also belongs to the country of that city. So if I say one customer belongs to city Mumbai and Mumbai belongs to India, that customer automatically belongs to India. It does not belongs to any other country. So this is a simple definition of a normalization. If A is related to B, B is related to C, then A is related to C. Okay. So why it is important? So if you have source data from a single table, like what we have seen in this table, you have the source data coming for customer, customer city, and customer country in the same table. But sometimes what happens is you might get the data from the different table. You get a data for customer and customer city in one table, but the city and country data is available in another table. Okay. In that case, you don't need to work on the complex query to create a join and load the data. Rather, you can simply load the data for customer to city and then load the data from city to country.
Aniket, can you repeat once? Data reader, how to upload SQL?
I told you I'm not explaining data reader right now. Data reader is coming to be in a later examples. I'm explaining the relationships. Do you have any questions with respect to relationships? Data readers we are going to come later. In the interest of the time, I am doing it quickly, as I told earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. We will cover the data readers later, but are you clear with the relationships example? What we are discussing, the normalization and the relationships.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, clear.
Yeah. Okay. So as I showed you, I loaded the data customer and city in a separate way and city and customer in a separate way. So when I click on analyze, I see that city, every customer has the city information. Every city has the country information. But city is the link between customer and country. So if I see information for a country, which customer belongs to which country, it is not shown over here because I have not run the normalization. Okay. The moment I run the normalization, okay, it has to be through city because city is the middle layer. I run the normalization and I click on analyze. Now you will see that because city to country relationship was managed, the customer to country hierarchy is automatically maintained. So it's been ALFK2 is mapped to Berlin. Berlin was mapped to Germany. That's why ALFK2 is automatically mapped to Germany. Okay. And this is the concept of the normalization. Clear? Go through the videos. It is also explained in the videos in detail. In case you any doubt further, ask me tomorrow. Anyway, I am going to recap it tomorrow as well. All right. Last point of today's topic. At any point of time, you can extract any of this information into Excel. Okay. You just simply need to select that tree and click on the extract or click on the extract tree, and the entire data will be extracted to a particular location. What location? Your board drive. It could be either C drive or D drive. You will always see a board folder in that C drive or D drive. In dataset with a database name, you will find it extracted at that level. Okay. So board dataset, C board, we call it as default board path. It is also shown in the, you see in your server configuration, what is the default board path? C drive. All right. Okay. Now for tomorrow's activity, whoever has not completed the entities exercise, please do complete the entities video. Try to list down all the entities and try to list down in the code then width and max atom number for those entities. And then in a PowerPoint presentation, create a hierarchy like this. Okay. Once you create this, there is no right or wrong answer, frankly speaking, in here. But I am going to ask a question as why? Why you have created that? You should be able to answer that, because I need to understand your thought process and we need to correct that thought process as we move along in this training. Okay, to guide you in a guided direction. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, every one of you have now got the training agenda. I told you how you can search the videos if you don't find it. I told you to go through only board 11 tutorials because those are the web tutorials. Don't, again, if you are interested and if time permits, you are free to roam around and watch any of the videos on e-learning, but try to focus in interest of time. Try to focus only on these entities. Sorry, only on this video list. Okay. All right.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you everyone for your time. Have a nice remaining day. Sorry, Nikhil, you have any question?
Yeah, Aniket, would it be possible to you to like make a Google Drive link for these recording and share with us? So like if we have any doubt, we can later watch it.
Yeah. So what happened is because of some internet issue, my yesterday's recording I am not yet able to retrieve. I will check that today. I am sure that my second video or the today's recording is